The Combat Pack 3 DLC saga continues. Hey, what's up? It's Dynasty back at it again on this Thursday afternoon with some more MK1, MK Uno cringe. Got not one, but two dose topics of note to break down and discuss today. For starters, we finally approached and made it to the final round of Ed Boon's voting poll in regards to the greatest guest character in Mortal Kombat history. We have the Predator facing off against Todd McFarlane's Spawn. So we have MKX facing off against Mortal Kombat 11. I took a glimpse right before recording, and it was split down the middle at 50-50. So yes, I think it's going to come down to the wire. This is probably going to be the closest of voting poll options we've seen so far. Only makes sense. Those were honestly the ones that were winning by a landslide all throughout. So going to do a deep dive into how that's going, and also out of nowhere yesterday, Interloko, who is supposed to be taking a break from data mining, right? I guess managed to get a few minutes to spare and discovered what appears to be one of the characters that's going to be in the Combat Pack 3 DLC, if in fact it does happen. Now, you guys do remember a few weeks ago, Interloko pretty much narrowed it down to a couple characters that appear to be what may be our second and maybe final cameo fighter of like the Combat Pack 2 DLC. Maybe this cameo fighter will be part of the Combat Pack 3 DLC, and it kind of seems to be like Meat. I'm not kidding. Meat from the 3D era. I'm going to have a card on the screen right now. Go watch that video. And since then, Interloko's really not been doing too much data mining, but yesterday he came out and pretty much said that Kano is in the source code, which is fitting given the fact that going back to what Fate Unknown said at the end of 2023, we had 5 MK characters and 1 guest character in the cancelled KP3, and one of those characters was cameo fighter in present day Kano as a main roster fighter. So, I mean, if we do get a Combat Pack 3, if one of these cameo fighter options a la Meat get confirmed in a few weeks, if Kano gets confirmed to be a DLC character for, I guess, some type of small combat pack, and it's not a Combat Pack 3, some type of like Aftermath expansion pack, whatever they're going to dub the next pack, if he just gets revealed before the rest, that pretty much means that everything else that Interloko's been discovering in the source code, because you guys do know he's found a grand total of 8 slots in the back end of the game's roster. If he was right about either this cameo character and Kano, that means everything else is legit. So we gotta talk about it. Before we do, it takes you a second, drop a like on the video. If it looks like I'm sick and having an allergy attack, I am. I've been sneezing all day, all yesterday. Every time spring rolls around right before summer, this happens. I gotta get some fucking Claritin because I'm dying, so I'm gonna try my best to power through this video, so please fucking say a prayer for me. Drop a like if you can, and let's break down everything of note in regards to the future of Mortal Kombat 1. If it even has one. Let's get into it. So here we go. Final round, Spawn versus Predator. And again, Boon is hiding the replies. He doesn't want you asking for anything on X. And when we head on over to threads right here, you could see the final round. Who is the best Mortal Kombat guest DLC fighter ever? Remember, you're voting for the guest character who was the most fun to play, which isn't always the most recognizable / popular character. Spawn versus Predator. Cast your votes in the post that follows this. And here's a nice look at the bracket before we claim a champion. I went invisible so you could see. Yes! Spawn versus Predator. Who will win? Now, like I mentioned, I did see earlier the results were super close. And speaking of super close, we're only at 798 votes, and it's still 50-50. I've actually not voted yet. I do have a Threads account that I never use. Man, I guess I'm probably gonna have to vote for Spawn. Super, I'm sorry. He's been clamoring for Predator all day on X. I love you, my man, but I gotta pick Spawn. Me voting against Spawn, that's something I only did it with Jason, and then Spawn won. So, I think Spawn's gonna win. I'm gonna manifest it. Though, I would be shocked if it actually, change, to be completely honest. I feel like it's going to be pretty much 49-51. It's going to be super close. I doubt it's going to change and be a landslide like we've seen previously. I would honestly be shocked. It would be inflated. Somebody would be cheating if it actually just... So I think it's going to end up being like 49-51 either or. If it's anything different, somebody was doing some funny business, but there you go. Love both, but Predator clears for me. Guys, let's beat Spawn and make Predator win. Predator had better gameplay. Spawn weakness. Now, the interesting thing about this is the fact that we don't really know what this is going to be for. Now, obviously, it could simply just be to gauge the interest of who, in fact, historically, was the best character in terms of gameplay. Or this could be some feedback gauging from NetherRealm Studios WB and seeing, like, you know what? If we do get this Combat Pack 3 DLC, which at one point in time was in development, we had one guest character. If Spawn wins, maybe we give them Spawn. If Predator wins, maybe we give them Predator. Or maybe they just give us characters similar to either or. You feel me? So that's kind of been my tinfoil hat theory. I keep saying in every single one of these videos. I feel like this is WB and NetherRealm's way of gauging what exactly the player base wants when they do get guest characters, because you can see here, fun to play, 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 fun to play. Remember when Boon was asking for things that would make Mortal Kombat 1 fun to play again? Weird choice of words, right? Isn't that kind of interesting how they're both the same to describe what he's looking for? So we'll see what happens, but yeah, it's close. It's 50-50. Who will win? We go with Spawn. Now, making our way to the second topic of the day, Kano and the Combat Pack 3 DLC. More proof that it seems to be happening, or at least at one point was actually happening. Now, going back to what we talked about a few weeks ago, right here is essentially everything that was found in the back end of Mortal Kombat 1's character select screen. From slot 1 all the way to slot number 8, with also main roster and possible cameos. This is courtesy of Interloko. He actually shared this with me privately. And going back to, like I mentioned, a few weeks ago, we found out that slot 7's possible cameos appear to be the next cameo for Mortal Kombat 1. You have Meat, Cabal, Kai, Blaze, Cassie, Cetrion, Chameleon, Dagon, Suhao, and Onaga. Obviously, you have some main roster characters mentioned there, but it doesn't really seem like, for this slot at least, it's not gonna be a main roster character. For what it's worth, Jade's at least mentioned there. So this is essentially what we've been gauging a lot of the potential upcoming content off of. This right here, all these slots found on the back end of the game's character select screen. Now, according to a video that Interloko dropped yesterday, when we make our way to slot number 2 here, according to him, slot number 2, which is right after slot number 1, which more recently ended up being Madame Bo as a cameo fighter, slot number 2 appears to be not a cameo, but a main roster fighter. And according to Interloko, it's actually Kano. Now, obviously, your options here are Blaze, Cetrion, Suhao, Jade, Kotal, Nightwolf, Scarlet, No Face, Jax, and Kano. I actually did a deep dive into all of this about maybe 10 or 11 days ago, almost 2 weeks ago. Now, I have a card on the screen right now. I give my thoughts on all of this, but in particular, Interloko in his video, which was in Spanish, and some people are really still complaining about it not being in English. Bro, there's subtitles. Watch the closed captioning. It's translated perfectly. In his video, which I'll have linked down below, pretty much Interloko explains that he was doing some more tests that he previously hadn't tried, and based on these new discoveries, it does seem like Kano is a lock for the Combat Pack 3 DLC. Now, he does not break down exactly how he discovered this, because you guys do know we talked about it previously in other videos. If Interloko explains the test he did to find out this information, NetherRealm Studios will watch his video and make it to where they'll change the source code to where it can't be cracked like we keep seeing from the Thinny, from Interloko, etc. So he's hiding the method behind how he pieced this together, because he does not want NetherRealm to swap things out and make it harder to data mine and grab from the source code. But according to him, Kano is destined for the Combat Pack 3. And honestly, I'm not too shocked, given the fact that, again, Fate Unknown was never wrong. The guy from the Mortal Kombat Leaks subreddit never was wrong. And he mentioned Kano Cassie Cage, Sonya Blade, Jade, Kung Jin, and a guest DLC character. Given that it seemed like those characters were more than likely already being worked on, there was bound to be like traces of those characters in the back end of the game's source code, because again, seemingly they were working on not just the characters, but even the DLC expansion for a while, right? So because of that, I'm sure that's kind of some of the remnants that were actually discovered from Interloko, and that's why he's coming out and being like, yeah, I ran these tests, Kano's a lock. If you do get a Combat Pack 3, he'll probably be the first character revealed if they end up revealing them one at a time. Because I guess you could say he's probably the most done. He could be tracked. So there you go. Interloko breaks it down far better than I can, but for the most part, in layman's terms, that's essentially what Interloko has to say. He ran some new tests, and seems like Slot 2 is the next character to be revealed, and not for the cameo, but for the main roster, and it's Kano. Now, how would I feel with Kano being a main roster character? I mean, I feel like Kano and Sonya are like the only OGs missing, apart from like Jax and, you know, like Cabal, some of those MK3 characters, but I feel like Kano, it makes the most sense, given the data we've gotten from other leakers, given that it's a fan favorite from way back in the day, an OG from the first game. Like, I'm not shocked. And again, given he's already a cameo fighter, we've seen several times he could be on both the cameo roster and on the main roster, so he kind of fits the bill in a lot of different avenues for this. But there you go. Essentially, that's what Interloko had to say. If I'm not mistaken, Interloko does speculate at the end of the video, thinking that maybe we don't get a story expansion and maybe they just simply give us like characters instead, which could make some sense. I think if they were smart, they'd give you a story expansion because they got to kind of tie in, I think, into the next game. And if they don't do that, I feel like we kind of end on a cliffhanger, given the most recent expansion. So I'm hoping we do get an expansion, but the way it seems, it's almost like NetherRealm essentially is going to piece together all this scrapped material, piece together potentially a quick Combat Pack 3 of just maybe a few cameos, DLC characters, a lot easier than writing a whole narrative and the cutscenes, and just giving that as like a final blessing for Combat Pack 3, Mortal Kombat 1. Boom! That's how we're going to go out. And it's probably going to be all those characters that we've known about for weeks. And again, say weeks, months rather, from Fate Unknown. And again, everything's subject to change. From what I can tell, this is stuff that's been in there for a while, so this could just be leftover code from when it all got scrapped. It could never come to fruition, but at the very least, Interloko has discovered what appears to be Kano as part of the DLC strings for Mortal Kombat 1. But guys, again, that's all I got for y'all today. Ed Boon voting poll, Interloko dropping heat. Again, I'll have his video linked down below because I think he explains it far better than I can. And I do think his insight's pretty valid. But what do you all think of this? You okay with Kano being a DLC character in the Combat Pack 3? With this being pretty much confirmed, does that confirm that Fate Unknown was right? And does that mean that we really are getting one guest character along with the other Mortal Kombat characters I mentioned earlier? And if so, is that why Ed Boon is doing these voting polls? To bring back classics like Kano and even, yeah, Predator, Spawn, tinfoil fucking hat. Combat Pack 3 could be a repeat guest character of fan favorites from the past. See what happens. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it, subscribe for some more MK content like this on the channel. Till next time, been your host, been Dynasty. Guys, please take care, stay safe. Shout out to Interloko. Love you, man. See you in the next video. Peace.
Living on a crack, but I'm not superstitious. Count all these